I'll start off with just a little introduction about myself. My name is Kyle Burke. I'm married to a wonderful woman named Kim. We are expecting our first baby in November. It's very exciting. Much to the chagrin of all of my elementary school teachers, we're going to do it. I'm going to create another one. No, it's a lot of fun. We have 2 dogs. We live right here in Lafayette. And the heart of who we are, we're creative people. It's really fun sometimes, like when you're decorating a room or you're decorating a truck. It really sucks other times, like when you're trying to do taxes and keep things organized. So that's who we are. That's what that's what drives us. Yeah, that's why you hire incredible accountants. So we started 838 on the premise that working for other people sucked, and we just wanted to do what we knew we were good at. And that is communicating visually. And so 838 was essentially based out of a dream I had to be able to put my wife, who is an artist at heart, in a place where she was creating every day and getting paid to do it. So what we did is we figured out how to have a design firm and actually make money at it. And one of the things that we decided was that the way that we can not only design effective communication was to make sure that it was implemented in the right way. So not only now 838 creates it, but we also produce it and install it. And so that's how we've, as a company, made sure that we're staying true to our customers and making sure that the product that we give them is effective. And so at the core, when we started, when we really evaluated, okay, we don't want to work for anybody else, what do we want to do? We had to evaluate inside who we were and what we were good at. And one of the things that we realized that we were good at is we were good at taking a communication problem where a solution was not going to be talking or sound and solving it. See, creative is just as analytical as calculus. Creative is just as analytical as any geometry problem you're ever going to do. It's simply a problem that you're solving, giving a certain set of tools. My wife is really, really good at it. I'm kind of proud if you can't tell. So when we set out, we decided, this is what we're good at. I've been a graphic designer in the industry for a little over 10 years, same for her. So we decided that that's what we wanted to offer Lafayette. When we came into Lafayette, we saw that there was a creative community that was ready for it, and they were ready for someone that was going to take it to the next level and offer as good a customer service as possible. So today I'm going to talk to you about what a visual brand is, how to create one, how to maintain it, and what to expect when you do. And I'm going to use 838 as a lot of the examples because, well, that's what I know the best. And I'm probably going to talk about a lot of the ways that we failed so you can learn from our failures and set your business up for as much success as possible. So the most important thing to understand when thinking about branding, when thinking about visual, is that at the end of the day, for better or for worse, perception is reality. And you are never going to be good at branding yourself or your company until you believe this in your heart and you understand that it's the truth. No matter if it's based out of truth, no matter if it's based out of fact or just plain emotion and a customer had a bad day, whatever your customer perceives is what they're going to believe until they go to their grave. So it is our job as business owners, business decision makers, and business influencers to control that perception and let that perception be what we want it to be. So I build my business and I build my marketing plan off of a three-step idea. And that is visibility leads to credibility, leads to profitability. Okay, profitability, which I think we can all agree in the room, that's kind of our goal, right? Profitability is what we want. Profitability is led to by being credible in your area. To be profitable, you must be credible. To be credible, you must be visible. Visible is my favorite part, well, because that's where I come in. So that's where, that is the three-step, that is the three-tier process that we're working off here. See, brand is a big deal when it comes to credibility. Seth Godin, who is kind of an up-and-coming thinker in the marketing and sales world, he's a published author. He's a phenomenal public speaker. He says brand is this. A brand is the set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that taken together account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. So this is what we're going to define the rest of today as a brand. So I'll read that one more time. A brand is the set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that taken together account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. So for all of you that are sitting there going, okay, a brand, okay, so I just really need a good logo. Okay, stop. A brand is so much more than a pretty little image. And trust me, my company and Mike's company both love to sell you pretty images. And we'll do it all day long. But a brand is more than a pretty image. See, at the end of the day, a brand is how your companies are going to expect to do business with you. A brand is what your customers are going to expect to get from you. It's funny because really the importance of a brand is actually really in transition. Back in the 50s, back in the 60s, back in the 70s, and even the 80s, a brand was really only something that service providers thought was important for the big national companies. You'd really only see the big national companies implementing tons and tons of dollars going towards branding. Sears, fast food restaurants. Because today's society is so educated and the world is so small now because of the internet and the availability of information, all businesses, everywhere, no matter what you do, are being judged on the same playing field. Because now consumers see and they make decisions how they used to, but they spread that over everyone. They spread that over all their potential service providers. So anybody in here that's like a B2C, a business to consumer service provider, look at it this way. If your target client is maybe an executive in a company, this person deals all day long with million-dollar decisions, tons of people's lives at stake. When they are analytical and they go through the entire process, they listen to those 15, 20, 30, 45-minute sales presentations from those huge companies. When they come home and they start looking through their mail to figure out who they're going to call to cut their grass, they're using the same exact decision-making processes. They're using the same exact emotions and thoughts, which means at the end of the day, whether you are a one-guy part-time lawn trimmer or you are a 400-employee, $100 million a year contractor, you guys are being judged on the same basis. And so if we're going to do this effectively, if we're going to do this the right way, we've got to understand that. We have to believe it because it has to be that important to us. Now, I would love to talk to you today about all the different aspects of branding because personally, I love it. I love branding. I don't know why, I'm just goofy like that. Tressa loves taxes. I would rather do anything than taxes. Anything than taxes, but she likes it. So we don't know why that is. I just love branding. I love the idea that with a well thought out, put together strategy, I can influence someone to do what I want them to do. I love it. It's the ultimate game. It's the ultimate strategy. And yes, it's how I got my wife to say yes. All right? So I know for a fact that it absolutely works. However, at 838, we only focus on the visual side. A brand is seriously as small and detailed as how you answer the phone. At the Courtyard, do you guys have a specific way that you answer the phone? Do you get in trouble if you answer it a different way? Yeah. Because how you answer the phone is help setting the expectation for your customer. If I'm at a law office and I answer the phone, yep. What kind of expectation is that? So I want you guys to understand that a brand is every possible point of contact that your potential audience is going to have with your customer. If you go back to Seth Godin's definition, he said a brand is a set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that taken together account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. That's a circle. It's a revolving thing. And if you look, expectations are at the very beginning of that. See, expectations, that's where visual branding starts. Visual branding is the perceived value until personal experience becomes known value. That's huge. Listen one more time. Visual branding is the perceived value until personal experience becomes a known value. So that means whether I'm a business executive and I'm coming into Lafayette for the first time and I'm judging about my potential accommodation options, I'm judging everything. Everything. And from 26, that's a pretty limited amount of time to make a snap judgment about where I might want to pull in. You know what I mean? When my potential customers are looking at the fact that they are spending thousands of dollars a year on rolling stock, on fleet vehicles going out, they are looking at all the other people that provide what I provide. And they're judging that work, and they're judging even my own work for my own company to evaluate whether or not they even want to give me the chance to talk to them. That's why I love to say that what we do is the first handshake. See, when I come up and shake your hand, as men, that's awful, isn't it? That's awful. I don't know. It's this thing in our DNA, and I'm sure women have it too. I've just never been one, so I can't talk about it. When it's in our DNA, we can judge a man pretty accurately by his handshake. It's the craziest thing I've ever met, but when I come up to you and I give you the nice solid handshake, I'm confident in who I am. I know that I can do what I'm going to tell you to do, and I respect you. When I come up and he doesn't even want to do it. It's awful. When I give you the limp fish, it's kind of like, I'm not sure if I can handle this $1 million contract. That's what visual branding is. It's your handshake. And it's your jobs as decision makers, it's your jobs as business influencers to make sure that your handshake is a strong one and it's a good one. So, now the most fun part. Now that we know how important it is, we know that branding is every point of contact that a consumer is going to have with your company, and that visual branding, the visual part of the branding scheme, is the very start. How do we go about executing it? How do we start? Here's the first thing for small businesses that you need to understand. Branding, visual branding specific, is not about aesthetics. It's not about if you like the way it looks. Visual branding is 100% function over form. Okay? In our logo consultations, price is very honestly and openly talked about as how picky are you going to be? As a designer, are you going to let me give you something that's going to be functional, or are you going to sit and make me be at the computer until we get something you can decorate your house in? All right? Take the emotional attachment away from your business and focus on the function of your brand. The function. There is a set of priorities in visual branding: to communicate, to establish confidence, and to educate. Your visual brand is not just a logo. In fact, if I ask most people, what's the most easily identifiable visual branding aspect or theme for 838? What would you say? Beautiful. I love it. I get text messages from phone numbers I don't even know with a picture of, hey, I saw this orange thing and it made me think of you. Nailed it. On a Saturday at 4 p.m., you're randomly thinking about me? Yeah, I win. You know what I mean? Like that's winning. That is doing exactly what branding is supposed to do. And stepping outside. I promise you I'm not speaking from a place of arrogance, okay? I don't mean that cocky. I really like to win. This is a big game to me. And when I do that, I win and I really love it. I have a lot of fun. Okay, stepping back into the presentation. So here's the deal. It's everything. It's not just a tiny little logo. It's not just about the 838. It's whatever you can induce visually that makes people get the reaction that they want out of you, out of your company. So here's the deal. Not all companies are the same. Bright orange and grays and whites are not acceptable for certain professions. I'm not a big fan of that fact, but it is a fact nonetheless. I think orange is phenomenal. It looks great on everything. So the best way to start to establish this brand, to establish this idea about what a brand is to start to think about your company, start to think about your brand in terms of how you would think about a person. Okay? Is your company right-brained or left-brained? Tressa, you're a left-brained company. All right? You are an analytical company. The minute that my accountant becomes creative is the minute I find another accountant. I don't want you just having fun with the numbers. You know what I mean?
Well, but you have to like me too.
Yeah.
That's what sets me apart.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
It doesn't pigeonhole me into that.
And here's the deal. You being, and that's great. That's great. That is a part of your overall brand because you are absolutely the most fun and cool accountant in Lafayette. I mean, look at your car. However, part of the visual branding aspect of that is that if I've never seen you, it's really less important for me to understand you're fun and way more important for me to understand you mean business. And that at the end of the day, if I get a call from the IRS, it's probably a happy holidays call because it's nothing else because you're that good. And that's important. You know, for an ad agency whose job is selling you saying, I'm going to get you in front of as many people as we possibly can, a visual branding scheme that isn't very exciting or doesn't stand out very well doesn't bode well for them. No joke. Just for fun, sometimes I click Facebook ads. Well, because I'm bored and I don't want to do any work, so I get on Facebook. So I click on this ad, and it's for a PR firm, and I always like to educate, so I'm like, okay, so what's their definition of a PR firm? What's their definition of a public relations firm? It's out of Indy. I click on it, and I start reading through the list of services, and as I'm looking at the website, I'm really disappointed. It's awful. I mean, it's clean, and it's professional, but the fonts are bad, the colors are bad. It just looks homemade. It just looks homemade. And a PR firm, nothing should look homemade about a PR firm, especially when they're selling $10,000 emergency response kits. They're selling for $10,000. You cut them a check, they'll give you a book on if something happens, this is how you're going to react to it. You know, as a sign shop, something happens, I doubt the newspapers will even call. I mean, it's not that big. But this is the kind of stuff they're selling. They want me to cut them a $10,000 check, and their website looks awful. It's hard to navigate. That is why you have to think about your brand as a person. You have to understand how that person is coming across. What I did is I broke it down to left-brain companies and right-brain companies. When you think about companies as people, think about this. Is your company an introvert or an extrovert? And more importantly, not what is it, what should it be? An engineering firm, it's okay that they're introverts. It's okay that that company's mind and attitude is professional, calm, and focused. That's what you want the engineering firm to be. A firm that takes on the persona and the personality of an extrovert would be a sign shop. You want a sign shop to be someone that's going to go out and talk to people and get a hold of people. So start to think of your firm, think of your organization, think of what you do in the terms of how people should feel about you, what people should perceive about you. Once you start to ask yourself questions about what is my business and what should it be, how should it be perceived, that's when it's time to start developing the actual visible aspects of it. The visual aspects are not just logo. Visual aspects are anytime anybody's going to see anything about my company, what are they going to experience? Are there common themes? Are there common colors? Are there common fonts? Are there common shapes? Are there common items? Are there common pieces of the puzzle? Like I heard about a really phenomenal marketer in the nation who puts testimonies on everything. He even puts testimonies on invoices. So here's an invoice for $50,000. At the very end of it, or at the very bottom of it, where you read you owe $50,000, you're going to get three sentences from one of his customers that say how fantastic he is and how they're so glad they made this choice. That's part of it. He's got testimonies on everything. Your visual brand is a consistent set of things that your customers are always going to see. I chose to make it simple for my company. You're always going to see my logo, and you're always going to see orange. That's pretty much what I can guarantee you're always going to see. And that's really all I care. I'm not even picky about what color orange. As long as if you looked at it, you would be like, well, that's a shade of orange, then that's it. That's the exact color I want. There's a company in town who is very, very particular about their color. So much so that there are only certain people that can do things like shirts and cars for them because they're the only ones that know how to allocate a certain color. That's obviously worked for them because they're wildly successful. So go them. I'm telling you as a marketing professional, it doesn't take that. It doesn't take that kind of strict adherence any longer. Orange is orange is orange, and it's totally worked for us. Real quick, I'll tell you about the best compliment we've ever gotten. We had been open for 2 weeks, and we're running, and I don't know how many of you guys have opened businesses, but it's all of the emotions you could possibly feel all the time for like a year and a half. It's crazy. It's like, from a guy's standpoint, it's like the hottest girl in school just asked you to the dance. You just failed all of your grades on the report card, didn't get into the college you want, but your dad just bought you a brand new car. It's the craziest thing. You could feel every part of it you possibly can. And what was, when you put yourself out there as a visual branding firm, really you have to ask yourself, am I actually as good at this as I think I am? Because then all of a sudden those horrible auditions from American Idol start playing through your head. And it's like, didn't these people have friends to say, hey, this isn't for you? You know? Like, did my friends really not say, hey, Kyle, bud, this is not what you do? So the coolest compliment was 2 weeks into it. Somebody walked in and they said, so you guys are a franchise, right? Yes. Yes. From a branding standpoint, if I look well put together enough that somebody thinks I paid a lot of money for this, then we did it. So happy. So happy. Okay, so flip to the failing all your report card grades. The problem is we really looked like we knew what we were doing, which is awesome until you get a lot of customers, a lot of them that you're not prepared for. See, when we branded ourselves very well. We branded ourselves so well that we immediately hit the market, and it's almost like we just blew past the new kids on the block syndrome immediately into this well-established, well-oiled machine. It was me and one other guy. Yeah, we could absolutely do a vehicle wrap, but 5 of them in the next 6 weeks? Now that would be no problem. Back then, that would have been a big deal. So what happened is we weren't prepared for it. And I learned my own PR tactics because for about 4 months, I had to go on a I'm sorry, but we're going to get better campaign. I mean, you want to talk about eating humble pie? Yeah, I know this project is taking way too long, and I'm really sorry. That's why we're going to do it for free. But I really want you to keep us in consideration for the next project. However, with a well-established brand and a well-established identity, we had the confidence from people, and we had the establishment that people gave us a second chance. So a well-established brand will give you the credibility you need to stay consistent and profitable. Moving on. At the end of the day, when you are creating your brand, this is not something for your brother. It's not something for your cousin to do. It's not something for your aunt who just bought Microsoft Publisher. If I get one more Microsoft Publisher file, I'm going to explode. Microsoft has never, ever, and will never create an image editing software. Okay? So I know the clip art looks really cool, but don't do it. You look like you're in 3rd grade. And since none of you are my customers, which, okay, since one of my customers, but you let us design all of our stuff, so you're ahead of the class anyway. You look like fools. Okay, did I do that justice? Mike Ponish owns Boulder Design Studio. He's a professional graphic designer. He is phenomenal at what he does. My people and his people, we're the people to create your brand, not Microsoft Publisher. Have we got that point? Like at this point, I don't even care if you remember anything else except that every time you see Microsoft Publisher, you shudder a little bit. If we've accomplished that, then I've nailed it. Okay, this is not something to take lightly. This is not your cousin said, "Oh, I studied graphic design for like a year and a half at community college, man. I can do this." No, you're not his experiment. It's way too important because a well-established brand that looks good can make you serious dough because it takes you straight through the steps: visibility, credibility, to profitability. It's actually funny. Four of the best local companies with some of the best branding are actually in this room, which is really funny. Obviously, Michael Ponish with Boulder Design, if his branding sucked, changed line of work, but his is fantastic. JP Video Pro is phenomenal. Tressa Heath at Heath CPA, we're a little partial to that one. We developed that one, but it's really, really phenomenal. And Try and Run. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do the Try and Run logo, but whoever did it did a phenomenal job. And if you've been to Try and Run store, you know that when you walk in, it feels like a franchise store. It feels like a store that there should be 100 of these things because they've done a very good job at establishing the brand and keeping it. And the very first step in establishing the brand is having the right person do it. So once you've actually got it established, now what on earth do you do with it? I've got this fancy brand new logo. What on earth do I do with it? Put it everywhere. Everywhere. You having a phenomenal branding scheme and never using it is useless. It's 100% useless. It's like buying a Ferrari in the United States. Where are you going to push that thing to its capacity? You know what I mean? I just bought a $250,000 sports car that can go 300 miles an hour. So I'm going to cruise 65 miles an hour down the freeway. You know what I mean? Putting all that money, that time, and that effort into a branding scheme is useless if you're not going to use it. Remember, visibility leads to credibility, leads to profitability. Without visibility, you're not going to move through the steps. So visibility, your first job is to get that branding scheme everywhere. If I stay at a courtyard, everything I come into contact with needs to have a courtyard logo on. Now, I doubt from this little seminar that courtyard corporate offices are going to be like, this guy's onto something. Like, we're going to change everything we do. But here locally, if you got to put flyers out, if you've got to make small signs that for some reason you don't give to your local sign shop, if you got to do anything yourself, that logo and that branding's got to be on everything. Because the minute I see that logo and branding on everything, it's on a completely different level for me. It completely reinforces all of the feelings and emotions that you've evoked by me staying in your facility. When I'm at Tammy's Try and Run store, I need to see the logo 20, 30 times. Because I want to make sure that when I'm in there and I'm talking to staff that are paid to do more than just run and go get shoes, when I'm actually talking to staff that understand the physics of running and the whole idea of what the body does while it's in motion, and they're helping me buy and equip myself to do it the right way, I want to make sure that I don't forget what store that was. So you have to implement it. I love it. We wrapped the Try and Run Suburban, and my favorite story from that is that her husband, Travis, was eating at Einstein Bagels, and a guy ran into Einstein Bagels and said, "Who here is from Try and Run?" And he raised his hand, and he walked up and said, "Do you have X, Y, and Z shoe?" Travis was like, "Yeah." And they sold him a shoe while he's eating bagels. If you're not visible, you can't be credible. And if you're not credible, you can't be profitable. So let's brainstorm for a little bit on ways to be visible. Somebody real quick throw me, what's one of the first things that you should put your branding scheme on to be visible? Shirt, perfect.
Business cards.
Business cards, nailed it.
Pop-up banner.
Pop-up banner, perfect.
M's.
Perfect. Your Jan C Factor Marketing, which is an advertising specialty product, she could probably talk to us for a year about all the things that you could put your branding on. Throw them out. What are other things that I can do to gain visibility? Pocket protectors. Trade shows. We just saw this really cool little tool that you can put on your key ring that makes it easier to put keys on a key ring now. But even that's got a logo on it. Be visible. Here locally, the things that I offer, obviously the biggest visible thing that you can buy is a vehicle wrap, because it goes everywhere. And the stories we hear are obscene. Corky is here from Houston Signs. They offer digital message centers or electronic message centers?
Electronic message centers, yeah.
It's one word and I can never get it right. Electronic message centers. Talk about being visible and always being branded. When you drive by one, you can't help but look at it. You have to. That's taking a step to be visible at all points in time. But see, those are the more formal ways. Think outside the box. Push yourself. Where do I see customers? Where are my customers at, and how can I get in front of them? I'll talk about my customers. My customers are business owners. That's who I want to talk to. I really want to talk to small business owners. Because they're the ones that have the decision the power to make a decision, and their businesses are the ones that absolutely benefit from what I do. So I have to think to myself, is radio a really good way to be visible to my clients? Yeah, I'm sure they listen to the radio, but that's such a small part of who listens to the radio. Do my business owner friends, do they play golf? Well, yeah. Well, which business owners do you want to talk to? The ones that are pretty successful. Okay. Well, where do they play golf? Well, probably at the more expensive golf courses in town.
For the Greater Local
Okay.
Commerce Outing.
Which there's still time to sign up for.
Absolutely.
I already signed up for it.
There's flyers in the back.
There you go. Where are these people at, and how do I get a hold of them? Think outside the box. Trust me, a well-placed visual brand is not only genius and it's not only clever, but most really good business people will appreciate it. Because most of them are going to be going, man, that was cool. Why didn't I think of that? All right? So get creative, because that's what people are looking for. And when you achieve visibility, you hit credibility and get to profitability. So, questions? Would you like me to expand on anything? Very good.
As far as branding,
Yeah.
it's not just your visual, it's everything that's incorporated with it.
Mhm.
In many years of being in the medical, I was always taught no one leaves the office without something in their hand to remind them of you, whether it be the business card, the appointment card, a pamphlet about what's going on, whatever, as a remembrance, because the good, like you say, people are going to talk about you in a good way, but if something bad happens, it's like wildfire. Facebook now, social media.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about social media and branding?
Sure, absolutely.
Because that's visual.
Absolutely. I'm actually really blessed because our business is so visual. It's really fun to show people. People always want to look at a vehicle wrap. I don't know why it's so cool, but it is. And I've seen literally thousands of them because we study them. But I still love looking at them. We just got done with a boat wrap this morning, and I still was walking out feeling it because finished vinyl is so sexy. I don't know what it is about it. I just love it. And so what we decided to start utilizing that. Because like on Facebook, people will totally look at a picture if it's something cool. I don't know if they're going to read a paragraph, but they're going to look at something visual. And so we implemented that.
Well,
And
just a
go ahead.
testimony.
Yeah.
I want you to feel good.
Well, thank you.
Feel good. I have her on my Facebook, so I started seeing these pictures of her car wrap. Honestly, I don't know you. So
I'm Kyle. Nice to meet you.
I know, but so a week ago we called up your office And we're either gonna do either a new front logo for a
Fantastic.
deco, or we're gonna do the whole wall, which, you know. So anyway, it was because of her face, it just really does work. It's kind of scary, but that vehicle wrap was so cool to watch. I'm thinking, ooh, that's such a neat idea.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's how we called you
Uh,
a week ago.
That's fantastic. And see, that works for my industry. People see and they educate themselves about what I can do. So this is where you guys step in. You know your business is better than I do. Like for me personally, I hate traveling. I'm 6'2", 260 pounds. I'm really never comfortable, period. And so when I'm traveling, I hate it because I can't get comfortable. So a place to stay that's consistently putting out images that just make me feel like I'm home and make me feel comfortable, I'm gonna remember them. Those big stinking mattresses that you guys get, I have no idea where you source them at. They're like $1 million if I try to buy them outside, you know, myself. And they're so incredible. Those are images that I can look at and see and become attached to. So we've got a deco here. That's really awesome that you're here because I'm actually really excited about your project. We've got he's CPA and Associates, Greater Lafayette Commerce, Houston.
GHLLC, Assistive Technology,
Okay, so what do you guys do?
Braille, large print, disability software.
Very cool, very cool. GLC, Try and Run, C Factor Marketing, WLFI, very cool. GLC,
MBAH Insurance.
okay, very good. Is MBAH just commercial or do you guys do residential as well?
All of it, yeah, health insurance too, life.
What do you specialize in or do you do it all?
I do individual health and small business commercial.
Very cool, very cool, obviously, and
Childlife.
very good, very good. Well, see, an insurance agent actually that's kind of a cool case study. Let's all think outside of the box real quick on how an insurance agent could be visual. I love that word. Car wrap. It just rolls right off. Think about it. If I'm on your Facebook, what's something I can look at?
Customers, happy customers.
Yeah,
Testimonials.
testimonials.
MBH gives on the reader board outside, each day they have a different quote or slogan.
Yeah, we have the funny little sayings.
Absolutely,
That's
that you're known
always
for.
grabs my attention as I'm going by.
Fantastic. It always makes you look at their
I've
brand.
told Jay Smith several times that he wouldn't have to climb up the ladder, or somebody wouldn't have to climb up the ladder to change those if they buy electronic message center.
He's got a point. What's the return on investment in those things? Like 5 years or something, real quick? Is it even that? I mean, it's fast.
It'd be fast.
You know, I think as a business owner, part of what makes me and a little bit difficult to live with is I'm a worst case scenario type guy. So I want stuff that's going to make me think and ask questions about an actual insurance policy. So find a picture of a sign that fell over. If this was your sign, would you be responsible for this? Question mark. What if it injured somebody? Question mark. That little Facebook post, I'm going to lose sleep over it. And I don't know. I'm probably going to call my insurance agent and say, hey, Biscuit, if it fell over, am I responsible for it? And if they don't give me a good answer, I'm calling you because obviously you know. Hopefully you wouldn't put it on Facebook. You know, that's a visual. That's visual. That is something that is going to make me question and make me have an emotional reaction. Because anytime that I'm a business owner and I start to feel uncomfortable about what I'm doing, I fix it pretty quick. So how would you describe the industry you're in?
Visual for
Visual
print
assistance.
disabilities. Like my company is more print disabilities.
Okay, so print disability supplier, something like that. How would she create visual interest in her company?
Well, I'm not sure what it is, so I would need some sort of description.
Her company manufactures Braille, correct?
Oh, okay, I got you.
Or
Well,
large
that's
print.
a challenge
So
for
that you need
visual.
Yeah.
voice activation software, or somehow to reach your clientele,
But a lot of times we
the market.
sell to the people who buy the Braille for the
I was gonna say, like your low vision group.
So it's not necessarily the end user
doctors.
that we sell to.
Right, so you're business to business, that's one of our,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
how do you keep yourself ahead of the curve in their office to be on top of their mind?
It's mostly our trade shows that
Major,
have the biggest impact.
huge visuals. Are there cool things that you can put in their offices? Like, I'm very ignorant on Braille, so I apologize if I say that and it's not correct, but like, I think it would be really cool. Braille would be actually something that'd be kind of fun to learn. What if you put out a card that was like the alphabet in Braille? So it had the Braille and then the alphabet at the top. You know, and something fun and cool that you could send to help teach people Braille.
Yeah.
Because how cool would that be for them to give their customers? Or, you know, just cool things like that that are visual, outside of the box, just thinking about what we do and how we can put it in their hands. One of the more fun things that we're going to look into getting into is whenever we have a client that's going to be a larger client, we're going to start stealing their filing cabinets and wrapping them for them. Because actually a wrapped filing cabinet looks pretty cool. It's kind of crazy. So the goal is, it's really funny because we literally have the gamut here of businesses. We have these really established brands who you guys have a pretty tight standard of what you can play around with. But you still can do things within inside your establishment to set you apart from every other Courtyard by Marriott they've ever been to. And at this point, it has maybe less to do with visual and more with just the brand experience. Because people now are relationship buyers. Our customers are relationship buyers. And so if they have a phenomenal relationship with Courtyard, they're not going anywhere else. And then we have all the way to people like me and Jan and Tammy who are small business owners who have to consider it all. And so we have to be making sure that we're not only creating a good brand and implementing it, but we're protecting it. Don't let a cousin make the flyer for you and use purple because it's just her favorite color when it's never been a part of your branding scheme. So you guys have been a lot of fun. All of our information is on the back of your cup. If you ever have any questions or want to talk or need something, feel free to give us a call. Thanks so much for your time.